everybody, welcome back to the Mariah Effect. I'm Mariah. Let's dive in. So, I know it's been a little bit of time. There has been a lot of changes and a lot of moving parts in my life that have made it very difficult to record. But I am back, and I think that as kind of an introduction to this new era for the Mariah Effect, I think it's only fitting to have an episode that's totally just about change. If you listen to some of my most recent episodes, I was talking primarily about, all the new things that are happening in my life. And the most recent one was talking about some of the sad new things that are happening, that have happened in my life now. And one of those things that has been going on, and the reason why I took kind of a break, was because I was grieving. I still am grieving, and I'm just kind of trying to find my rhythm again, or finding a new rhythm, probably, because I've spent so long trying to, adjust to new realities that now I want to create a new reality for myself. And so with that, let's just start talking about some changes. First of all, I want to talk about a major change for the Mariah Effect. It's a good thing. Don't worry, it's a good thing. Is that I am now working with a team of people, and we're going to try and make things a little bit easier for me and also more streamlined and consistent for you, because I've definitely kept dropping the ball, and it's a lot of work for one person to do. I know that there's plenty of people who are doing it all by themselves and dedicate themselves to this, and I applaud them, because I have been trying and I've been failing. And one of the things that is great about failing, this is a conversation I actually had last night. One of the great things about failing is being able to push through that and find something different or improving on what you were failing at. And I think the reality is that I don't want to, let alone if I can or can't do it by myself, I don't want to do this by myself. I think I have a lot of different things that are going on in my life, work opportunities, exciting things personally. Like, I don't have the time and I don't have the brain bandwidth to handle all of it all at the same time, all by myself. So I'm so grateful and so happy to have help. It's going to be a huge load off my shoulders. And I think it'll be really great for you guys, because you'll actually get consistent content from me. So that's one of the great things that's going on. Another good change is, because of that, I've been given some really good advice on how consistently I should be doing the podcast and when I should be posting and everything. So I know I keep changing it, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with everything going on in my life, and I really just am so grateful and thankful to the people that are just consistently ride or die for me and willing to go through all of these changes. And if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the podcast, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what I'm talking about necessarily about changes, because this is going to be what it is moving forward. But we are going to be doing a podcast episode every other week, once a week, and they're going to be longer episodes like I did before. The major reason that I changed it initially from longer episodes to shorter episodes was because I was having a hard time with listening to myself for 45 minutes. Not because, I don't think that it's good content or anything like that. I think what I have to say is important, and I think that you definitely could benefit from listening to some of the things that I have to share. And I think there's value in this. It's just when you're the one who is giving, talking about everything and giving the advice or the stories, the compassion, when you're sharing all of that and then have to listen to it again and then have to listen to it again and again and again for editing's sake, it's just really draining. And it's a lot. It's a lot, because I go through second by second, minute by minute, trying to make it more put together. I don't know. I think the raw version of myself is sometimes not as professional because I have filler words or I stumble sometimes and I ramble. And so I try and make it more concise and more put together. And yeah, it's difficult, but now I'm using better equipment. I'm using better software. I kind of used a variety of different things because it was the free option. Now I don't have to worry about that. Thank God. Thank everyone around me who's helped me get to this point. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot easier for me to edit. It's going to be easier for the other people who are helping me edit. Another big change that we're going to be doing is, if you are watching this, then you'll already see. But because I'm using some new software, I'm actually going to be able to do video content as well. And it'll be edited with the audio instead of separately, because that was a huge headache to try and figure out, which is why I never really did the video parts, which is really great because then I can reach different audiences. I know for me specifically, I have a really hard time just listening to things. Like, I'm a huge reader and I can't do audiobooks because I can't stick to it. Like, I can't focus on it. I have a hard time doing podcasts because I want something visual to see. And so it really pained me that I felt like such a hypocrite having a podcast that didn't have a visual element for people who are like me. Now I do. Yeah. Woo! I'm so excited for that. It's been a long time coming, and I think that I am changing enough things in my life to be able to really appreciate what I'm doing and being able to see myself, which is really hard. But being able to see myself and reflect on things is going to be so helpful for me. Keeping everybody else out of it is going to be really helpful for me, and I hope that it's helpful for everybody else. But yeah, this is really awesome and great changes. I'm really excited for our path forward. I'm going to be, changing the website little by little. Also, there's going to be more content on the Instagram and everything. It's just going to be such a good, move forward. It's going to be so helpful to me, and it's going to be hopefully able to spread the podcast further. And I'm really excited about that, you guys. I really am. But on that vein of talking about change, I want to also talk about some of the changes that kind of made this change happen. I've been really fortunate to have part-time work the entire time that I've been going through chemotherapy and cancer treatments, all of that. And it's been really minimal part-time work, but it's been really maximal. I don't know if that's the term I should use, but it's been really great and expansive for me because I've learned so much in just a few years. Even just doing it part-time, I've learned a lot about marketing. I've learned a lot about copywriting. I mean, I've definitely leveled up myself in terms of career wise, what I'm trying to achieve and the path that I want to take. I think that a lot of the things that I've learned have now helped me with the podcast. A lot of the things that I've learned have now helped me with figuring out next steps for myself. And I'm really, really grateful to Abby. She's my boss at Belief Statements. She's really helped me so much. And I also am really grateful to Jason because he's the reason I know Abby, and he is the person who got me to start doing the podcast. He's the person that keeps pushing me to do the things that I want to do instead of just doing things to survive. I think for the first time in my life, I'm making choices and changes to try and thrive in my life instead of just surviving. And it's a hard change. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that most of my life, when major change has happened, it's been thrust upon me in good ways and in bad ways. But I think that it's never been something that came from a particular decision that I made. It was more like decisions that I had to make, if that makes any sense. I take full ownership and responsibility for the choices that I've made in my life. But a lot of them were kind of urged to me, nudged to me. I mean, I went from high school thinking I have no idea what I'm going to do with the rest of my life to I'm going to go to culinary school. I went from culinary school to I'm going to move to California and be support for my aunt and her son. I'm going to start looking at different options for different jobs that I could possibly do because I don't want to do cooking anymore. I worked at a hospital within the culinary realm, sort of, but in more of a managerial position. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I lost my job and I had to like readjust and figure out something else. And so I was just applying to whatever I could. And I got a job working within the mental health space. And that felt good for me because I felt like I was making some sort of impact. And I realized that my journey was all about trying to find a pathway to making impact, find a pathway to helping other people in any way that I could. And so that took me down this like path towards sober living facility and crisis center where I worked here in Utah. I moved to Utah because of a major change in my life, which was my decision ultimately, but was kind of pushed onto me by the relationship that I was in. And all of these changes, all of these decisions were ones that I made, but it felt like it wasn't my choice. Does that make any sense? I feel like sometimes when I say things, I'm like, I don't know if I get it anymore. Does anybody ever feel like that? You're just talking about something that you know what you're talking about. You do, or you did. And then you say it out loud and you're like, wait, what? What did I just say? That happens to me all the time because I know it made sense here, but me trying to communicate it to other people, not the move because it didn't work. And I don't know how to fix it because now I just sound like a crazy person. That was totally off topic. But anyway, I do feel that for the first time in my life since being here, which felt like a decision I made for myself, it did. Um, and then I got, cancer and had to go through all of that, which was a bunch of decisions I had to make, not decisions I wanted to make necessarily. Um, and so I feel very strongly that for the first time in my life, I'm making decisions based off of what I want to do, not what I have to do. And I also have been working with somebody, a peer guide, so to speak, peer coach, on what I have trouble with. And the thing I have the most trouble with is making decisions. I've known this for a while about myself because I have a hard time making decisions on where I want to eat food, which seemed really minimal and like not a big deal before. But now I'm realizing it's part of a bigger problem of like genuinely not being able to make major decisions in my life because I am so caught in this idea of like the consequences of those decisions. Like, even with food, it's like if I'm with somebody and they're like, what do you want to eat? I'm nervous and scared to say something I do want to eat because I'm worried that I'll say what I want to eat and get excited about it in saying it. And the other person will either agree, but they don't actually want to have that, which is crazy to say out loud, but they'll agree to go to that place because they see that I'm excited about it, but they don't actually want that. So then I think that I'm being rude, I guess, or selfish in going to that place when they don't actually want that. Or worse, that they'll say, no, I don't want that. And then I'm like, okay, well, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know. Like, ugh. And it gives me anxiety. It really does. And so I just don't even think about what I want anymore, which is crazy that I can't even really think about like what do I want to eat. Sometimes I have a general idea, but it's not like, oh, I want to go to Taco Bell or oh, I want to go to get pizza. Like I don't have that. I have like I want something that's not too difficult to pick up. I want something that is gonna be spicy. Like it's very generic, it's very broad, which is not super helpful for people who are trying to decide food ideas, which is, I mean, and it also might come from too like me eating at home so much that now like getting fast food is like I have no idea. I kind of just eat what I have, and the idea that we have so many options is overwhelming. But it leads into that bigger issue of not really knowing what I want truly, because that is at the bottom of my priority list. What I want, what I desire, all the way at the bottom of the barrel, because there's so many other needs and priorities above that in my head of like, okay, if I decide to do this, these are the consequences that could come from it. Does that outweigh the benefits for not me, other people? Which is insane. Insane. Like one of the major decisions I'm trying to like work through right now is I have decided and planned to go to Italy this year. That is happening. That is happening. But after that, when I get back home, I kind of want to make the decision of moving out. And I had originally planned that I would move out to somewhere else in Utah and be here for a little bit. But now these other things that I have in the works are happening in other places. Like there's a possibility of something happening in Atlanta for me. There's possibilities in Bentonville, which is where Jason recently moved to. And so I'm like trying to piece together what we're going to do, like what I'm going to do, what I'm going to choose, because outside of my desire to live in Washington, I just don't even know what I want to do with moving. And I think that I've come to a conclusion, but it's all still kind of in the air based off of other people right now. So I'm trying to figure it out. I really am. And it's part of the process of working on this decision paralysis that I've got going on. It's part of the process of, putting my needs and priorities at the top of my list instead of at the bottom. It's all a work in progress, and it's all centered around this idea of making changes to my life that are true decisions, true choices that I'm making instead of things just kind of happening to me. Because when things just kind of happen to me and things don't work out, I feel very strongly and very angrily that, like, well, this isn't my fault. And that's not like a healthy way to live, I don't think. Blaming other people, blaming life, blaming God about things that were out of my control at the time is just not healthy, and it's not gonna benefit me in the long run. All that to say, big changes are happening, and I think that change is something that is inevitable in anybody's life and everybody's life. I mean, I've been going through grief over someone very close and very special to me, somebody who was basically like a father. And that is something that definitely happened to us, happened to me. And I think that it's one of those things that happens to literally everybody in life. Grief, whether it's losing someone or losing something. And I talked about this on one of my previous episodes a little bit, but what that goes hand in hand with is change. Everybody experiences change in their life. Big changes, little changes, adjustments, things that they decided for themselves, things that happened to them, all over the place. Change happens for everybody. And I think for me, in my situation, what it makes me think of is the fact that we all are told that change is good or change is unavoidable, but we aren't really given the tools necessarily of how to deal with change, how to accept change that's happening. I think most of us in the world keep just kind of figure something out when we're young, and we keep adjusting, we keep changing, and we keep like doing what feels good for us. And sometimes it's a healthy coping mechanism, and sometimes it's not. I think for me, a lot of times when change is happening, I shut down a little bit emotionally because I don't want to get overly emotional about things that are changing because a lot of the changes in my life have been really difficult, really hard. So I think, if I'm being completely honest, change has always been something that I've handled not well. And not in super dramatic ways necessarily, but in definitely like unhealthy manners for myself, because then 2 years, 3 years later, I'm having this emotional upheaval of all of the changes that happened in that time. And it takes me out for like, I don't know, several days. Sometimes it compounds enough that it's stress, like a lot of stress on my body. And so then my lupus starts to show its face and is like, hey, girl, you're not going to get out of bed for like 2 weeks. Good luck. And so for me, over the course of my life, I've come to a place, especially right now, where there's change after change after change that's happening for me. I've come to a place and I've come to a decision for myself that I'm going to work through that and I'm going to deal with the stress of it in the moment, because waiting until later is not going to benefit me and it's not going to benefit anybody else. Like, I do so many things to protect so many other people around me, and it's like, who asked me to do that? Nobody asked me to do that. I do it out of like habit, force of habit. Because I used to do that before when I was a kid. I did that for the sake of other people around me. And it's like, nobody's asking me to do that anymore. Nobody's expecting that of me. And if they are, who cares? Like, everybody around me at this point are grown adults outside of Patrick, who I'll continue to do certain things for that I wouldn't do for other people. But like, even that, like, he's my brother, he's not my son, he's not fully my responsibility in that manner. And so there's only so much that I should be expected to do, and there's only so much that I should take hold of doing for other people. And man, it would be such a weight off my shoulders. I remember there's in New Girl, this TV show that I used to watch all the time, there was a scene that kind of popped up on my feed recently where one of the characters, Schmidt, who is pretty well known to be a jerk in a lot of situations, he like is talking to the main character, Jessica, where he says something, I think he says something like, so you like think about other people's feelings all day long, like how what you do affects other people all the time. And she's like, yeah. And he goes, that's crazy, or like, that's exhausting. Because, and like, it's supposed to be this funny moment of like, wow, he's so inconsiderate. But the reality of it is that like, why why do we do that? Like, it's one thing to be considerate of other people around you. In certain situations, obviously, it's important to be respectful to other people around you if they deserve that. But like, why do we put so many other people before ourselves? Like, we strive so hard to be unselfish, to be not self I don't remember, I can't think of the word, but to be not selfish. And that's definitely something I've tried to do my entire life, is not be selfish. And it's like putting into our minds that we are not allowed to think of ourselves first, which is like self-preservation, you know what I mean? Like, it should be an initial reaction to think about yourself before others. Like, you're on the you're on the plane and it's going to crash. They tell you to put an oxygen mask on you first before worrying about somebody else, even children. So like, it's all about self-preservation. And so why am I giving and making sure everybody else has an oxygen mask, and then by the time I actually think about myself, there's none left? Why do I do that? Why do we do that? It's crazy. And I'm working so hard to try and change that. I'm working so hard to make changes for myself. And I just wanted to share that that's kind of what my path is right now. Is I'm making changes and making decisions based off of what I want, based off of what I need, based off of like my dreams and my hopes and my desires. Like it's about me. And it can be about me, and that's okay that it's about me right now. There's so much that's going on in my life and in the lives of people around me, and I'm constantly worried and constantly thinking about what I can do to help, what I can like fix. And I was talking to somebody about this last night of like, it's not my job to fix things for other people. It's not. I need to worry about myself and I need to figure out what I can do for me to protect myself. And it's really hard. It's really hard to make that choice and make that decision for myself, but I think I need to. There's so many moments in the last several months that I have been trying to be there and trying to like help everyone else. And when I take a second to take care of myself, I've been like, I've been told that I am being selfish or I've been told that I'm being inconsiderate, which are things that I've been scared to be called my entire life. And in that moment when I was called that, I was like, I am not. I know I'm not. And I'm so angry that somebody would say that to me. But it made me realize that like I can do everything that I possibly can think of to be there for other people and it could be perceived differently no matter what I do. So why am I killing myself to be considerate, to be not so selfish, all of those things when I could still be perceived as selfish, I could still be perceived as inconsiderate. So I think what it means for me is that I will still be who I am, which is a kind and generous person, but I also need to think about me. Like I need to put that back towards myself, which maybe I'm saying this and people are like, "Well, yeah, duh. Like obviously, you should do that." But what I'm hoping is that the people that feel the same way as me will hear this and be like, you know what? You're right. You know what? Let's do this together. Because I don't want to do this by myself. This major change to how I act in certain situations, this major change to my life. Let's do it together, you guys. I mean that so wholeheartedly. I don't think that this is something that's going to happen overnight. I don't think that tomorrow I'm going to be doing everything for myself and actually remembering to eat at the right times, remembering to take my meds, remembering to do everything I need. But also, I think that tomorrow I can make certain changes to what I do so that I can set myself up better in the future. I can make plans. I can make adjustments. I can demand more for myself. I wrote a LinkedIn post that was about asking for a raise, and it came from this little snippet that I saw from Ellen Pompeo. Love Ellen Pompeo, where she was so real and visceral in this clip where she was like, if you aren't willing to walk out the door after, like, when you don't get the raise that you're asking for or don't get the, like, things that you're asking for, if you're not willing to walk out the door, then you're going to continue to be undervalued. Like, you're going to continue to not be paid what you deserve. And, like, she said that, and I was like, damn, like, she's so right. I have spent my entire life nervous to ask for what I want, nervous to do what I want, nervous to, you know, try for what I want because I feel like I'll be told no. And then what am I going to do after that? Then I'm going to keep working there. And I've done that where I've asked for a raise and I've been told no. And I've continued to work there because what am I going to do? Quit and go somewhere else? Maybe not get a job for another, not have income? Because you need to have money. I needed to have money because money is a necessity. But like, honestly, for real, I'm not doing that anymore. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid to stay at a place out of fear of not getting another job somewhere else. And I'm not saying that the fear is stupid. I'm not saying that like it's ridiculous that people would be scared to not find another job. I think it's ridiculous that we have to be scared that we might not find another job, that we have to stay at places that are, undervaluing us as individuals. It's absolutely asinine. And I'm not going to do it anymore. I've been really blessed and really lucky to find employment with people who will value me, who will take my needs into consideration and actually care what happens to me. And part of that is because they're people that I know personally. Part of that is because we've had conversations about, me not valuing myself and them telling me, like, you need to value yourself. Like, I think that for the first time in my life, I'm working with a group of people who are considerate and caring and exactly the kind of people that I want to work with. It's not a toxic environment. It's not tainted by greed or just like unprofessionalism. Like, it's actually professional. It's actually caring. It's actually kind. It actually wants to put good change in the world. Like, it's incredible. It makes me emotional because it's like all that I've wanted to do my entire life, and it's finally happening for me. And I am so excited, you guys. I'm so excited and ready. I'm ready for this change. I'm ready for everything to become what I've always wanted. I am. And one of the things that I really, 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 really want is I want everyone who listens to this podcast, which I also want to be more people, by the way. I'm trying to get more listeners because I'm trying to spread the word. But I really genuinely want everybody who hears this podcast to think on this and be able to have a small change in their life. Big, small, tiny, minuscule, but a small change that pushes them into the next level of who they know themselves to be. I want this small change, this big change, this minuscule change to be something that makes them think for the first time or the last time, I'm going to do something for myself. I'm going to do something to push myself up, to be who I want to be right now. I don't care how big the change is. I don't care the steps that they have to take to get there. I just want the people who listen to this to be able to accept that for themselves and go on this journey with me, because I don't want to do it by myself. I will if I have to. Better believe. But I don't want to. I want to do this with everybody. I want everybody to come along on this ride with me, and I want everybody to get something out of this because that's what I do this for. Genuinely, 100%. Anyway, all of that being said, lots of changes happening, lots of changes coming up. I'm hoping that throughout this season, there will be many different guests that we already have a few lined up for the podcast, and I'm really excited about it. And by the end of the season, which will end in the beginning of October when I leave for my Italy trip, we'll start doing some really exciting things for you guys. I'm going to keep some things under wraps because I got to keep you guys on your toes, like I haven't already with my crazy flip-flopping. But a lot of changes happening, a lot of good changes happening. And even though things have been really, really hard with some of the not so good changes, at the end of the day, I think that there's still some good to be had in those, and some things that I've learned, and some good times that I've had with my family. And I think that it's definitely what the people that I've lost would want for me, is these good changes and this good move forward in my life. But thank you guys so much for listening. You can catch any of the show notes for the podcast on the-mariah-effect.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm going to be posting more on TikTok as well. And yeah, all of the things. If you want more information, if you want to reach out to me, go ahead and do that on the-mariah-effect.com. And I'm so happy. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.